Welcome to CyberCEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. CyberCEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. It's a good day, another day, of course, and another episode of Cyber CEO. We are very lucky to have another Cyber CEO on the show today. Deana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. So, for our listeners' benefit, can you tell us something about yourself, please?
Well, I am a mom. My kid's birthday is actually today. He just turned 4. Yeah. So, mom, I have a few real estate teams that we run, and also a MAPS coach with Keller Williams.
Wow, that's awesome. So, I must assume that your time is very cut thin. So, we really appreciate that you're here on the show today.
Thank you.
All right. So, how long have you been in partnership with Cyberbacker?
So we actually currently have 3 Cyberbackers. The first one started with us about almost 3 years ago now. Second one came a year after that, and this last one has been here for about a year. So almost, I think September will be a year. So.
Well, you're already building somewhat of your virtual team or your own Cyberbacker team there. It's very, very exciting. So, what can you tell me about them? Because, of course, different people have different kinds of attitude. Can you tell me something about each one?
Well, so the first Cyberbacker I hired was for coaching. I became a new MAPS coach almost 4 years ago now. I think in January it'll be 4 years. So for the first 6 months or so, I was rocking it by myself. I had 8 coaching clients that I coached 30 minutes a week. I think 2 or 3 of them only went every other week. So it wasn't actually 8 spots. But to make a long story short, I only had 8 people and I was drowning because we have to report out all the notes and send things to them and get homework from them and all those things. So her name is May, and she is phenomenal. She was a total happy accident. I didn't know what I was doing in terms of like hiring her or anybody else for that matter. And we coach about 32 people every single week. And she also does that with me 2 days a week. So we power through that in 2 days. And then the other 2 days a week, she works with my team, and she holds our agents accountable to reporting their numbers. She's actually, and I joke on these things when I do these podcasts for you guys, she with my director of ops have ordered me lunch before and had lunch from Panera, like from the Philippines. So anyway, she's probably, I can say changed my life in a lot of ways. She's also introduced me to Filipino culture and some of the things that you guys do for holidays and the way that you guys live. And it's just been a really big eye opener for me as a human, not just as my business. So love her to death. Second one is Sam, and she does all of our social media. So one of the things that I do at MAPS is I coach the social media class. And I realized that I was not having enough time to keep my social presence up, and that would look really bad being the person teaching it. So she got hired about 2 years ago to do that for me. And honestly, up until like a couple months, maybe a month ago, she was for the last 2 years logged in every day, living my life and playing the role of me and posting through my account and answering people like they were me and wishing them happy birthday. And people never knew it wasn't me. So we have her moved on to some other stuff right now. So anyway, third one is Joyce, and she has been with us for almost a year now. Same thing. Like we've had some pretty big projects that we've had to do. Like I'll show you one of them.
Sure.
So one of them, we realized that we had all this knowledge in our head for the agents, but we didn't know how to actually like get it into a book. So she created the launch book for our team.
Wow.
That has all of the processes for the team in this huge book.
Wow, that is huge.
Yeah. So she came on with us as more of a by project type of basis because we had a lot of collateral we were trying to build. She also helped us build out our buyer and seller packets and stuff like that. So she's also got a little girl, and it's just interesting to watch how different everybody's families are and the traditions that you guys have over there.
Yes, that is actually true. Wow, it's the first time I'm hearing of that book. That is a huge book. So she was the one who collated everything. Is that right?
Yeah, so we basically said, here are all the things that a new agent on a team needs to know. And although Keller Williams is phenomenal for training and education, no one has taken all of it and stuck it in one place. So I saw the idea from somewhere else and I said, you know what, we're going to rip off and duplicate that. And so I sent her the book and then I sent her the info and she put it all together and made it pretty. Yep. So she and my director of ops, she ran the show and my director of ops just edited the book a little bit, but we've got all kinds of stuff in here.
That's
now it's a 400 some odd page playbook for new agents. Yeah.
That's a lot of pages, but seems like you've already grown a lot ever since your first day with your own Cyberbacker. Now, let me ask you, what makes this kind of a relationship or a partnership successful?
It's actually a really good question. The first thing I would say is that you have to be honest with yourself. If you are going to prefer someone who can do things in person for you, this is obviously nothing that's going to fix that. So if you, I don't know how to really say what I'm trying to say. I find a lot of times, especially because I coach a lot of people, that they hire a virtual assistant and expect that they can be there in person and do the things that an in-person admin can. And that's quite clearly not the case. So I think the first thing is you have to have the right perspective and idea behind what you're going to want from them. I think I've seen a few people who have said, well, I can just deal with it. And the reality is you're not going to just deal with it. You'll deal with it for a little bit and then you'll still want someone in person, right? So if you don't need that and you want somebody who's more effective, more efficient there for the times that most people here in this country won't be, I think it's perfect. So the other thing too is, I know this sounds weird to say, but you can't treat virtual assistants like less than the person sitting next to you in the office. So I think what makes our partnerships successful is that they are very much like integrated into our team. They are a part of our team meetings every morning. They're expected to give their good news. I ask them what they're doing in their life. Like they're very much, albeit they're on the computer, they're very much a part of what we have going on here. They're not, no offense, but like they're not a second-rate citizen somewhere across the world that you can just forget about. So I don't know. I mean, like we have moments in between calls and sometimes I'll hang up because I have to run, but most of the time I'll hang back for a few minutes and talk to her about her life or what are you doing? How are things going? How's the thing with your family or whatever? So I think the first thing is you just have to understand that the things that y'all can't do in person, that's never going to change. And if you absolutely can't get over that, then that's not the right option for you. But if it is the right option for you, which for us, we've found that it is, you just have to make sure that there are things in place to still create a relationship with these people and not look at it like someone who's on the computer that you'll never meet.
This is actually true. Building the relationship, of course, having quick conversations, probably getting to know them a bit more, because of course, this is going to be a two-way street between you and the Cyberbacker every time, right? Now, I have another question. So how much additional, let's say, revenue have they made you, or how much time have they saved you?
That's really a hard question because they're doing things that never would have been done. So I don't necessarily know that I can really answer that the way people might want me to. But even like I'll use a calculator. So even going from 8 clients to 32, let's say I subtract the 2. And I say there's 24 additional opportunities for me to make money. And I'm going to give you a rough estimate. Let's say that times 12 times 2 years, she likely, so May, has allowed me to make about 180,000 US dollars more than I would have over the last couple of years. Because no matter what I did, I was never going to get to a point where I could be at 32. So I had to give the money that you guys charge for Cyberbacker in order to gain 170 something grand. So that's just with her. I would probably say if I played it all the way out, the social media backer has probably given me about the same, but in different ways. She makes sure that I respond to things on time. When a lead comes in that I don't see for 24 hours, she texts me, hey, there's a lead in your Facebook page. She's also been the reason that we've been creating relationships on social media for the last 2 years, because if it were up to me at that point, I wouldn't have been doing it, which also likely means I wouldn't have been able to coach the program for the last few years that I've been doing it. So I don't know how to answer that directly, but I would say over the last 3 years, it's in excess of $500,000 pretty easily. Like I could pretty easily find that. Now, if you add back in my time, I don't even know that I could give you a number because there's just no way. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do it, or I would have been able to do it at the sacrifice of my family.
Mhm.
So because of them helping us, I'm gone at least 2 weeks of every month doing
Wow.
something else on vacation or out of town or just off every weekend. And I'm done at 4 every day. And like, I don't really know you can quantify that, but I don't know. Does that help?
Actually, those are very, very insightful. We appreciate the honesty, of course. Now, you've already mentioned earlier about what your cyberbackers are currently doing for you and your business. So I know these kinds of roles could also grow in some parts, right? What are some of the things that you're considering having your cyberbackers do in the future?
It's really hard to answer because I see
Mhm.
so much overlap with two of them. As I grow, obviously their roles grow and the things
Mhm.
that they're being asked to do grow as well. But I'll tell you, so we actually had another team join us and they sell about 100 homes a year, which is pretty substantial. Most people
Mhm.
won't get to that point. And when I was on my one-on-one call with the guy that leads that team for us, it was his team that he merged into ours, right?
Mhm.
And he said something, and I was like, "Well," I said, "Well, how can we get that into some?" And he said, "May already did it." I'm like, "She what? I didn't even know she talked to you. I had no idea." She like took the initiative, introduced herself, said, "Here's who I am," and she had been working through some processes, and I'm just like, "Okay." I
Very
didn't even know
proactive.
that you knew each other. Yeah. So we have a goal on our team to sell close to 1,000 homes in the next 5 years,
Oh,
and
wow.
what I see for that is um, she's coming with us on travel. And I mean, I don't know how to make it work, but I would love to get her out here because all of them out here because I think it'd be cool. But I don't know. I know I'm not really answering your question, but to me, it's no different than the opportunities for people who are here to run departments or be in charge of other people or lead people or train people or whatever. I know you guys have head backers there,
Mhm.
so I could see something similar for them to do here, just with other admin. So they wouldn't be called a head backer, but like a head admin or lead admin would be about what they would be doing. So I don't see it as any different than what, like the girl who sits at the desk right here, she started with me as a listing coordinator part-time,
Mhm.
like 10 hours a week. And now 4 years later, she runs the whole show with me. So
Wow.
I don't see it as any different.
Of course, leadership and growth. We never know what's going to happen in the future. Now, these
Yeah.
kinds of relationships, they really need the work, that you really need to invest your time. Now, let me ask you, have there been any challenges working with Cyberbacker?
No, not, I mean, nothing substantial. I think I tell, because I coach people through maps and I tell them when they're looking for cyberbackers that they just have to give you guys honest feedback because
Mhm.
I have found that the very few times anything ever was gotten wrong, you guys were really, really quick to figure out what needed to be done. When I was hiring Sam, the social person, there were two other people that came before her, all within about a 30-day time period, and I realized why they weren't the right fit. I owned that. That was my fault. I didn't know what I didn't know. So when I gave you guys the feedback, when I
Mhm.
looked at the second person I got, that part was fixed. But then I realized there was a whole nother thing over here that needed to happen. And once I added those two pieces together, Sam came from that and she's been here for 2 years. So all of like the realization that it was the wrong person the first time to
Mhm.
getting to Sam was about a month. So that's the only issue I have ever had, but that wasn't with Cyberbacker. It was just, it wasn't the right person and I didn't know it. Um, Other than that, no, I mean, like I tell people all the time, I have nothing but amazing things to say about you guys. Everybody is real. If anything, I think you guys follow up more than I would like for you to, because I feel like I'm ignoring you half the time. But no, it's been phenomenal. It's more than what I expected, to be honest, because I hear a lot of virtual assistant companies falling short, or people aren't trained,
Mhm.
or they don't have anywhere to go if they have questions and stuff like that. But I don't get that with you guys.
Of course, this is actually us being partner with our clients, again, our cyber CEOs, to make these types of partnerships last. So, have one last question for you. There's still a lot of people, aside from the advice that you gave earlier. What advice would you be able to give to people who are still having second thoughts and having their own cyberbacker?
I think that the only advice I would give is the question, are you having second thoughts about hiring a person, or are you having second thoughts about the company? Because if you're having second thoughts about the company of Cyberbacker, I would tell you you're just wasting your time having second thoughts, because there's really not another option that I see out there that's better than this, especially if you are in the real estate space, just because you guys, I mean, you're owned by a Keller Williams individual, a MAPS coach, Craig
Hmm.
Goodliff, and you guys go through the career visioning process and resumes and interviews and all of those things. So it's very easy to integrate you into what we're already doing. There's not any friction there. So the only advice I would say is to figure out if you're concerned because you don't think you're the right leader for a virtual person, or if you're concerned about the inner workings of the company, because the inner workings of the company, I don't think can be even rivaled. However, you still have to do the hard work on yourself to figure out if you're the right person to lead someone who's a million miles away. I think that takes a different mindset. But I know people who have cyberbackers who are, for example, there's a woman I coach who has an investment company. Like, she looks for deals for investors for real estate. And she has a cyberbacker finding those deals for her.
Wow.
Like, she just basically says, like, here's the criteria. Here's the people that we have in our database. See if they'll sell their home. And she has the cyberbacker matching the criteria the investor is looking with the people. So I've seen people use cyberbackers in a million different ways. And I think it's just really interesting.
Thank you very much for that, Deana. So that is my last question. And of course, as always, always a pleasure speaking with you, Deana. Would you want to maybe give a shout out to your cyberbackers on the show? Because I'm sure they would be listening.
Yeah, they always watch it and then they tag me like, I see you. I'm like, yeah, you do. So just all three of them, May, Sam, and Joyce, they're fantastic. And it's like the coolest part of all of this, I think, now that I'm past like the hustle of figuring out how to use them, is just learning about y'all's culture. Like, that is so freaking exciting to me. And like, it's funny because even 3 years later, May and I'll have these conversations about stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? That's a thing? You guys actually do that? Like, why do you eat spaghetti on your birthday? That's just very strange. And she's like, well, but then it becomes a history lesson on how the Philippines were settled by all these different different countries, and they all brought I just think that's kind of neat. So I've taken her on my laptop and shown her my house, and like, she's shown me her house, and so it's just cool. I don't know. It's
awesome.
Cool.
That's really
Same thing with
really
Sam.
good.
She's like super into this so she has an obsession with pens, and I just
Pens.
Yeah, like
Pens.
pen.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. She's like a pen influencer on some sort of social media platforms you guys have. I don't know. But you guys are just really freaking cool people. So I just love all three of you.
All right.
And you're cool too, but all three of them.
Of course, I know that your cyberbacks are also very, very appreciative of the help and, of course, the working relation that you have with them. So, of course, Deana, we really appreciate your time. We know you're very busy. And to our listeners, if you'd like to know more about Cyberbacker and save time, of course, for your business, please go visit our websites. Deana, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of CyberCEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.